Introduction. I've got a dirty little secret. So do you. We're actually going to talk about them in this book. Are you ready? I'll go first. In the spring of 2011, I was about to close the biggest business deal of my life. My residential painting company, M&E Painting, was still relatively new, and landing this project would be a game changer. But what happened to me that day was bigger than the painting project. What happened in that office changed my business and my relationships with my clients, my team, my vendors, and others close to me. It changed my life. So I was sitting across the desk from this guy, Bill. Like me, Bill had worked his way up from nothing. Unlike me, he had been an early shareholder in what became a very well-known company. Bill had started out sweeping floors and then worked his way up in management, slowly investing in private stock in the business. When it went public, he had a very large payday. The money changed Bill's life, but it didn't change Bill. He was still a straight-shooting, hard-working, coffee-drinking, cigar-smoking guy. So what was a guy like me doing talking to a guy like this? Well, Bill was not just a client, he was a friend. I met him years ago and had done projects for him in the past, but nothing like this one. This proposal was for a massive custom staining project on Bill's second home, a place he liked to call his $1 million baby. Right then, we were sitting in his primary residence, a Spanish-style mansion set on a golf course. This wasn't the first time I had been in the place, but every time I visited, it seemed bigger and more impressive. I walked through the iron gates, past his putting green, and across the courtyard with its fancy fire pit and landscaping. I walked through the 10-foot-high stained solid wood front door and into Bill's office, reminding myself just how well he's done for himself, maybe better than I realized, and that this project, if I get it, could change my business. Not if I get it, but when I get it, because Bill always signs the contract, and I always close the deal. Before we got to my proposal, the potentially life-changing one I had so carefully prepared and tucked into a portfolio, we drank coffee and we caught up on small talk. I hadn't seen Bill in a while, and we had a lot to catch up on. Bill looked comfortable, leaned back in his high-backed leather executive chair. We talked about what had been going on in our businesses, our families, and our lives. After a while, Bill leaned in. It was time to talk business. I'd had my company, M&E Painting, for 5 years at this point, and most projects were in the $4,000 range. The proposal I was sitting on Bill's desk was for close to $60,000. It was a fair price for the work involved. And even though I'd known Bill for a long time and done work for him in the past, I still had to sell it. So I did what I always did. I reminded Bill of how smoothly those other projects went, and I talked to him about our company's 98% client satisfaction rating. I went through the whole Sales 101 spiel: features, benefits, ask for the business, handle objections, and close the deal. That day, I used my either-or close, where I gave the client 2 options. It's a good close that worked almost every time. I pushed the contract across the desk along with a nice pen I brought along just for this momentous occasion, and I asked Bill which option he'd like to go with. This is where the client usually signs the contract. Bill, being the decisive guy he is, always signed it. With other clients, sometimes there were questions, what we in the sales world like to call objections, but like any great salesperson, I was prepared to handle those if they came up. Bill could have had questions this time. He may have wanted to negotiate. After all, this was a major deal. But I was prepared for the questions, the objections, the negotiations.